Hey guys, Yuvraj here from the Brainstorm Force team, makers of the Astra theme for WordPress and other exciting WordPress products. Since it's a Monday, we are back again, or I'm back again with some exciting WordPress news around the world. This episode is pretty special because for you, the guys who are watching, I'm going to give you an exciting, or I'd say an exclusive sneak peek at one of the most exciting features that we're working on in one of our products, and you might be just the first one to actually know what we are planning. So make sure to watch the complete video. And I have a lot of exciting news today, not only about our products, but about WordPress, what's happening around the ecosystem, some SEO, some schema news, and also a couple of updates from social media, which you might care about. So strap in, make sure to watch the timestamps for quickly navigating to the stories that you care about the most, or the best part would be just to watch the entire video. So let's get started with the first video, or the first update, I would say. So the first update that I want to talk about is that Yoast SEO has been acquired. Yes, that's a pretty big news because Yoast has been one of the biggest SEO plugins out there with, I'd say, 10 million or more installs, and has been acquired by Newfold Digital. If you don't know Newfold Digital, then it's just to give you an idea, if it's a hosting company, then Newfold probably has a stake in it, or I'd say outright owns it, because Newfold Digital owns EIG and they own a lot of hosting companies. So that's one exciting news, and congratulations to the entire Yoast team for making or having this successful exit. But important piece of information, in my last update, I did mention that whenever a popular plugin gets acquired, usually the results are not optimistic and you should be skeptical. But in this case, things are a little bit different. There's no changes being planned to the product. The team is going to be in place. The product is not going to change. So don't expect drastic changes coming from the Yoast ecosystem just because it's been acquired. So you can stay safe. But I've been watching the chatter around the internet about Yoast being acquired, and many people were again concerned about Yoast changing for the worse since it's acquired. So if you're one of those guys, if you're interested just to be sure about what alternatives to Yoast you should be using, then I'll leave a link down in the description of this video, which will link to a blog post we had on our website, which talks about all the best SEO plugins out there for WordPress. It has a mix of plugins, but it also features some of the best Yoast SEO alternatives that you can try out on your website. But I'm pretty sure nothing's going to change, and congratulations once again to the Yoast team. So that's the first story of today. So the second piece of news is the most exciting news that I can give you. It's about our products, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video. If you're on our email list, you probably already have an email about what I'm talking about. But for people who are not on our email list, why are you not on our email list? Just join the email list. We send out amazing updates to you. So if you're not on the email list, let me give you a preview of what we are doing. I'm not going to give you the complete picture, but think of it like this. We're planning a feature or a set of features in the Astra theme that start with the word global. If you know, you know. So that's coming very soon, but you don't have to just keep guessing. You can actually test out the feature today by joining our open beta program. Yes, we have an open beta program now for Astra. So you can join the program and try out these features for yourself. And if you're wondering, all these features or the set of features I'm talking about will come to the free version of Astra as well. No need to purchase the pro version for just these features, but you're free to purchase, or I would recommend that you purchase the pro version for its amazing features. So there will be a link down in the description for a Google document, or I'd say Google form, where you can fill in an application, or I'd say just fill in your information, and the open access or open beta is in place. So you'll get access pretty soon to Astra's latest update with the interesting or exciting new feature. So that's the second exciting story for today. Let's move on to the next story, which is about WordPress 5.9. Now you might be thinking, we just had WordPress 5.8. What's about WordPress 5.9? So nothing is changing. It's just a preliminary, or I'd say it's just a change about an announcement about what the team is expecting to do with WordPress 5.9. So there's a blog post out on make.wordpress.org, which is the official, I'd say, repository, but yeah, also official discussion forum for WordPress related updates. So instead of having to go through all this, I'll just give you an idea of what I understood. So what the team is trying to do is to make responsive design more easy and accessible for everybody. Right now, if you have a lot of complicated structures on your website, maybe you have a heading inside a column, inside a major or other parent block, then it becomes very difficult for beginners to decide or create or even configure how things should change during layout shifts when the website is being viewed on a different kind of devices. So these are the kinds of questions the team is trying to answer with these kind of updates. Definitely, I'll leave links down in the description for every story that I'm talking about. Links will be in the description, so you can check it out and share your opinion with me as well in the comments. What do you think about this? I've been looking at this and I'm really excited because, according to me, my interpretation with this is that this will help beginners design fully fledged websites easily for themselves. So I'm pretty happy with the direction WordPress is taking right now. Make sure to leave your opinions after you read the blog post in the comments as well. So this is the exciting story, or the next, this is the exciting story for today. Going about the next story, I have another interesting announcement from WordPress. WordPress, or I say the parent company that owns WordPress, Automattic, recently invested $30 million in a startup, I say, called Titan, which is a business email startup, and it's by Indian founders, if you didn't already know that. So congratulations to the team, Titan team, for building a great product that is worthy of investment from Automattic. And most importantly, I'm assuming if this investment is in place, I'm assuming some sort of features will show up in WordPress with regards to email pretty soon, or I'd say in the later updates once the investment probably matures. So that's what I'm excited about. And definitely, if you have any opinion about this, make sure to leave in the comments. So coming to the next update for the day, it is about a security report, which is very important. It's been published by WordFence and WP Scan. So it's a mid-year WordPress security report. So they've compiled a list of the major threats that the WordPress ecosystem is seeing, what kind of attacks are common, how many brute force attacks are they stopping on a daily basis. It's a pretty extensive read, not too big, I would say 14 pages, but it has a lot of packed information. So I would suggest that you take a look at it. Of course, links will be down in the description for everything I'm talking about, and also this PDF. And it's a pretty exciting update, and you can just look at it and in all the interesting data these companies have about the WordPress ecosystem. So that's the story for that's the story security update for the day. And coming to the next story, it's again an exciting update from Google. So what they've done is they actually released a blog post on web.dev, which is the official, I'd say, address where they talk about web development and most importantly core web vitals. So they've released an official blog post where they've talked about a workflow that you can start using to optimize your website based on core web vitals, and it's centered around Google tools, and I'd say that is more than sufficient for you to actually start an optimizing your website. So it's an extensive read. It's not too complicated. I'd say if you are already familiar with the concepts of core web vitals, this will not be complicated, or this won't be some new information to you. But for beginners who don't have an idea of how to start optimizing their sites for core web vitals, this is an interesting, or I'd say pretty interesting blog post from Google, which is very easy to follow and understand. So that's something interesting I reported. I thought you'll be interested to know. Talking about the next story for the day is an exciting update to Schema. So Schema has been continuously changing, as you probably know. So Google has made a change to the article schema, which is pretty rare in my opinion. But what they've done is they've now started recommending that you add author URL inside the article schema on your site. So author URL, if you are in the SEO or WordPress website building space for the long time, you might be aware that this was a thing long back, right? You had Google Plus profiles, and then you had the Google Plus author profiles being added to the websites, and then author thumbnails showing up in the search results. If you know, then you know. Make sure to hit like on this video and also comment that you know, remember those times. So what Google is saying that you should start adding, there's just a new property that they've added to schema, or recommended that you add to your schema on your site regarding the article schema. Then you should talk about have a link, or specifically the URL for your author. Now it can be, or what Google is recommending, that the URL can be a page dedicated to the author on your site so that they can have more information about it, or you can also link to their social media. So it's nothing too complicated that you need to add to your schema. But if you don't know how to do it, or if you're not familiar with how schema works, then it might be a little bit tough for you. So I would recommend that you check out one of our products, which is pretty amazing for schema. It's called Schema Pro, and the website is wpschema.com. Of course, links will be in the description. And we have all types of schema that you can add to your website pretty easily. And I actually spoke to the development team after this regarding this update. So they actually shipped a brand new feature update just today. So when I spoke to them, they said, okay, this is already planned and this will be released in the next version of Schema Pro. So right now, you won't be able to, if you're already using Schema Pro, you won't be able to add the author URL, but it's planned in the next update already. And still, right now, if you intend of adding the schema, it's still a recommended field. So that means if you don't add the author URL to your website or your schema, then it doesn't mean that you will be kicked out of schema or Google won't recognize the schema. There's a recommended field and there's a mandatory field. This is just recommended fields. So that was all about the author URL update in the article schema, but there was also a certain bit of clarification that came from Google, which was regarding spamming, right? So there's a lot of spam on the internet. You probably know that. So people were concerned that since you just have to add a URL for or representing who or which author wrote an article, it's actually open for spamming. But Google clarified, or specifically John Mueller clarified, that they're not worried about faking author details in structured data right now. But let's say what happens. Many times when things change, Google also changes their stance. So this is a bit of clarification. If you were worried about facing the same kind of issues with spamming regarding your author profiles, maybe some of your authors, then you don't have to worry right now. If things change, of course, I'll report that to you as well. Coming to the next update is about, again, schema, and that is regarding the Google Structured Data Testing tool. Now, if you don't know what the Structured Data Testing tool is, I'll just give you a brief history. For testing the structured data on your website, first Google had the Google Structured Data Testing tool, which actually showed you what kind of structured data Google detected on your site. So the Structured Data Testing tool, as I said, just detected the structured data, but did not give you a preview of what kind of results you can expect in search. So Google had another tool which was called the Rich Results Testing tool. So the plan was to depreciate the Structured Data Testing tool and make the Rich Results Testing tool the primary tool for checking the schema on your website. But there was a lot of backlash when Google announced that they'll be depreciating the Structured Data Testing tool. And then Google actually changed their stance and they said, okay, we'll update the Google Structured Data Testing tool. That's a hard word to say. And now actually so that was my phone ringing once again because I've been saying the G word again. So Google has changed the Structured Data Testing tool, or they have actually revamped the tool, but they've actually moved its location from the original place where it was hosted to actually schema.org. So if you try to access the Structured Data Testing tool on the original URL where it was placed, you will see something like this. And then you will be able to open the schema markup validator. That's the new name on schema.org, which looks exactly the same, but you see it's hosted on schema.org. So that's the big change. So if you want to check the schema or what kind of schema you are adding to your site, if it's actually valid, or even checking schema of your competitors, this is a great tool to use. So it's not dead, it's just moved to schema.org. So this is the exciting schema story for the day. Coming to the next update, we have another interesting schema type update, or I say interesting bit of news about schema. So BrightEdge is a enterprise SEO platform, and they did some research into what kind of schema is used by the most popular websites within certain kinds of niches. So just to give you an idea, they actually tracked websites in the education space, travel space, finance space, home improvement, and healthcare space. And what they found was FAQ page was the most prevalent in the education space, breadcrumb was the most important in travel and finance, then article was the most typed in home improvement, and in healthcare, organization schema was the most important. There's some other data here as well that you can check out, but I'd say unfortunately the complete set of data is not viewable by us because it was made exclusively available to Search Engine Journal. So what you can do is, if you want to find more data or have some more details about what this study came up with, then the link to the official page or this page will be in the description, and you can go to the bottom of the page, which you can see right here, and then click this link right here, which will take you to some additional, or take you to a page on BrightEdge's website where they have some additional details about what they did and what kind of factors they found were more effective in terms of SEO. So that was the schema related updates for the day, and there are some exciting updates in Google search and what's happening around Google search as well. So let's talk about those updates. So the first update is about Google answering some common questions about Search Console Insights. So you can check out this blog post that Google has placed on Google Search Central, and they've actually answered a lot of questions which most beginners might have when it comes to the reports inside Google Search Console and also Google Search Console Insights. So it's I'd say insightful blog post. You can check it out if you're interested, or if you use Google Search Console Insights regularly on your site. So it's a pretty interesting update. And the second bit of update is with Google launching, or I'd say Google releasing an official video about how to improve the page experience on your website. So you can see it on my screen right here, but for some reason Google is, or I'd say YouTube is glitching on me. So there's no other details on the page. You can't see the title, of course. You can see it right here. But what I'll do is, of course, leave links down in the description to this video. And it's a pretty exciting and it's, I'd say, very insightful video on how you can start improving the page experience on your website. So it might be worth a shot. You should check it out. The next update again is with Google Podcasts. So there are some new requirements to appear in Google Podcast recommendations being the keyword here. So if you want to be appear, or if you have been trying to appear in Google recommendations or Google podcast recommendations, there are some exciting, or I say not exciting, but there are some interesting, I'd say, updates to the requirements. So there are a bit of updates. You have to have a valid crawlable image. You have to have a description. You have a valid email address. All the details you can find here. It's on the forum post. Again, I'll show you the actual details or actual post where it was announced. So you can check it out. The link will be again in the description of this video. Talking about the next update for the day is one clarification that John Mueller actually did. It was in regards to a question that someone asked, that if you have a big website, does it hurt you if you link to smaller websites? So the answer was no. That's the intent of the web. If you link to smaller websites, there is no harm to your websites. So if you have a large websites, don't worry about linking out to small websites. Or if you have a small website and you're trying to get links from big websites, maybe show them this tweet and ask them to link to you. So talking about the next exciting update for today is about Google mobile first indexing. This has been a chat, or this has been a thing for a few years now already, but Google is still working on moving all the websites to mobile first indexing, and there's no estimated time, there's no ETA right now. So if your website is stuck and you are not able to, or you not see the mobile first indexing for your website, don't worry, Google is working on it. When it will happen, your guess is as good as mine. So that's the exciting update for the day. And talking about the next update for the day, again, is with Google, which was about, I'd say, an estimate, or I'd say there was chatter around the internet on another update rolling out on this Saturday. So the date on Saturday was, let me just confirm, that was the 14th. So there was chatter around 14 being another Google update. As I mentioned in the last video, there were already 3 updates going on simultaneously on Google. So there's a core update, there's a spam link update, and there's one more, I'd say, I forgot which one, but there was another update in place. So the chatter was around, again, fluctuations in the search results. So was it a brand new update? Nobody knows, but it might also be the updates that are already in place making some changes in the SERPs. So if your site's rankings are fluctuating since Saturday, then don't worry. It's normal. I say you're not the only one experiencing those changes. So talking about more SEO news, there was a simple clarification done by Google on how error 500 or 500 errors on your website affect Google indexing. If you don't already know, 500 errors usually come from server errors. That means your server is unable to handle the request. We've done a couple of videos around it already. I'll just leave links down in the description to those videos where you can solve the 500 error and also different ways on solving the error. So you can check it out. So what Google has clarified, or John Mueller again in this case has clarified, that if your website is continuously throwing error 500s, then Google might start to slow down the indexing process on your website. And the intent is not to punish your website. The assumption is that is Google or Googlebot asking for too many resources on your server, that it's actually causing the errors on your website. So based on that assumption, what Google is trying to do is clarifying that if your site is continuously throwing errors, then we might slow down the indexing on your website. So that's just a bit of clarification. If you are seeing 500 errors and your Google indexing, or I'd say the crawl budget is cut down, then this might be one of the reasons that is done. So we're done with the SEO updates for the day. Just 2 small updates regarding to LinkedIn, which is very exciting. This is the first time I'm covering some LinkedIn news. So LinkedIn has done 2 interesting updates. The first one is LinkedIn has added ratings and reviews to user profiles. So now you can leave reviews for certain kinds of skill set or for people as well. So that's something that you might be into if you're on LinkedIn a lot. The second update regarding, again, LinkedIn is that LinkedIn has now enabled native video meetings on LinkedIn. So if you spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, you network a lot with people on LinkedIn, then you can natively talk to them on video call using LinkedIn as well. You don't have to set up a Zoom call or a Google Meet or something else that you use. So that's about the last update for the day, and a lot of exciting news for the day in today's episode. And most exciting for me was the Astra update. And of course, I've just hinted at the future, what we're talking about, not giving you all the details. But of course, as I said, you can check out the link in the description, join the open beta program and have a go and just test out the product. And your feedback will definitely be welcome on not only Astra's new feature, but on this series as well. Again, if you have any thoughts about what we're doing here, make sure to leave that in the comments. Like this video, share it with someone if you think it will be helpful to them. Also subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, you know the drill, and I'll catch you in the next video. Till then, take care, stay safe, and most importantly, have a lot of fun.